Hey guys, today I plan to make you dumb no more by talking about something a little bit different. All my other videos so far have been geared towards giving you a specific skill set that you can use within moments or talking about a specific role or maps. All of these are good in their own rights, but this one's more of a general mindset that you should be applying almost 24/7 depending on the circumstance in comparison to, let's say, stutter stepping where you only use in key moments or delaying. So let's talk about mindset. The reason why it's so important is because let's look again in my entry video when I talk about how an entry fragger needs to be dedicated towards the cause. An entry fragger needs to be willing to push and take ground even if his score is going to take a hit in order to enhance other people on his team, such as the star rifler, to get the kills and get the trade frags. Often it is a gloryless position, but it is one that is very needed and crucial within a team environment, to have someone go out first and take the L for the rest of his team to win the round. So what we're going to see is there's three types of mindsets necessary, and each one changes depending on what environment you're in, and some are shared in both environments. First is a mindset of playing for the team in a pug, not specifically playing for the whole team, but what you're doing within that team. The second is roles within a team, like a league match, for example. If you're in a competitive league such as CSGO and you need to have a team structure all set up, everyone's have a different role and you have to have a different mindset per that role. And then finally, it's going to be talked about playing to win versus playing not to lose, because you see this both in pugs and within league play where people might be playing not to lose, but it's vastly different from playing to win. So let's go with the first one, playing as a team within pugs. Within a pug environment, you're not going to really have a set role at all times because people are going to be playing differently from round to round to round. Sure, you might have someone that always picks up the op and they're considered the opper, but in-game leading might be broken up as a committee type deal, or it might be broken up where one person calls one round, another person calls a different round. And often you're not going to have a set structure. Maybe you're not going to have many people want to play as a support role, but more as a star rifler. So within the team environment, the mindset that you need to take is, what am I going to do to benefit the team? Because often, not everyone can be the star rifler. You're only going to see maybe one or two people fragging out of control, and the rest are going to be lagging behind. Maybe you're going 10 and 18, for example. In this environment, if you're playing poorly, set up your teammates by going out first or setting it up with flashbangs so that way they can make proper kills. An enemy that is flash is much easier to kill than an enemy that is free and able to look around. This is obvious, but you're not going to be seeing people do this within pugs that often. They're going to try to take the 1v1 aim duel, and that's one of the biggest issues that I see, especially at lower levels, but even Nova up to Master Guardian and even up to Supreme, you're going to see people having these core issues. So within a pug environment, see where you are at personally, take an honest look. Say if you're not feeling it, that's fine. You can benefit your team through a different means. However, on the flip side, it is okay if you're fragging out of control to be selfish. Have your team play around yourself. What I often see is some people might be playing really well, but they're still trying to set up someone that is 5 and 20 because they want to have their whole team participating within the moment. And the issue there is, why are you trying to enable someone when the best course of action to win is for you to frag out and that 5 and 20 is supporting you? Know how your state of play is and how other people are playing and who's communicating what, and just try to do the best mold you can within that team environment. This is more vague, but it has to be vague because every pug game is different, and even your own play may be different from game to game to game. So now that we've finished up teams and pugs, let's now talk about teams in terms of league play or a core group of friends that you've been playing with for a consistent amount of time. Now, this is not to say that you are confined to these roles, but what you're going to see is people naturally tend to have a certain play style, and you tend to play more often along these roles with some movability depending on the role. So there's 6 roles really, and there could be less depending on what your team is and how you want to define it, how you want to play, or there could be more. So the first role I want to talk about is an in-game leader. An in-game leader is often going to have a secondary role on top of it all. What you might see is an in-game leader could take the op, for example, or they may be the entry fragger, or they may be the lurker. One example of a lurker in-game leader would be Happy. An in-game leader that typically entries would be Kerrigan or Apex. Or If we're going to be talking more of a Glaive as well fits this scenario as well. You also have Steel, who takes the op from time to time, or entries, depending on what team he's in. So an in-game leader is going to have multiple different roles. The mindset you should have as an in-game leader, though, is how am I going to benefit my team the most? You're trying to boost them all in every way, shape, and form. That's why you're going to see an in-game leader often take more of a supportive role or entry role within a team, because they can dictate the action how they want to do it and set up their players. Often, if you're going to see an in-game leader in a lurker role, they're kind of disconnected and playing more selfishly, and that's why you don't really see an in-game leader in that position. So that's the first type of mindset you need if you're an in-game leader, is helping out your team and benefiting them. The other two mindsets that kind of share the same mentality is support and entry. Again, like I said for entry in my entry fragger video, is they have to have the mindset of sacrificing themselves to benefit their team. The support is the same, though not as terrible, in terms of they're throwing flashes for other people and they may have to go out first every now and then, but really they're just playing more of the supportive role, a crucial role within the team to help push you out onto the site, and then they can take a more prominent role getting kills. These are players like Zipnix, for example, or even Crims from time to time too, and Fnatic. On the other side of the coin, however, you have more of the aggressive or greedy mindsets within a team. This is going to be your opper, your rifle, and your lurker. Now, more for the op and the rifle, these two are often going to have a very aggressive, or should have an aggressive mindset. Specifically the star rifle player. They need to be able to go behind the entry or support player to trade immediately off of them and to clutch the round. These are players such as Magisk, or we see Device when he is rifling, Simple when he's rifling, Electronic. These are players that are often very aggressive and get in your face and make the trade kills. These people are vital to any team to truly succeed, and they're your star players more often than not, especially in the star rifle role. Your op position, while you do want them to be aggressive, such as players like Fallen back in his prime in 2016, JW, Simple when they're on the op, they can be more passive. We've seen players such as JDM, even Guardian from time to time, where even though he's very mobile, he's not as aggressive. Or what we see in Skadoodle back when he won his major as well with Cloud9, these players may play more of a stationary op role. They do not always have to be aggressive. And even though I personally think the mindset for an opera should be to be aggressive and to get the picks and be the star of the team, that does not have to necessarily be the case. Finally, what we have is a lurker. Much like the op, they can be super aggressive, and you can have lurkers who are making a push, trying to entry in their own right onto site as their team's hitting a different location, but you might see them try to make a setup where they're benefiting their team, cutting off any rotations, or trying to close out the round. The lurker's real goal at the end of the day, compared to any other role, is to secure the round and to win it for their team. Notable examples of lurkers would be Happy back when he was on Envious in 2015. Other notable lurkers would be Dupree nowadays, when he's taking more of a lurker role and he's being a little bit aggressive as well. But Get Right as well is one of the most famous lurkers within Counter-Strike Global Offensive, being one of the best players in the early years of Counter-Strike for 2012, 2013, and 2014. Lurking can be such a pivotal role within the team and really will define how your team is played, because a passive lurker will give your team an overall slower pace, but an aggressive lurker will help your team pull rotations, and you can be a lot more aggressive in taking sites or taking different types of map control. The final type of mindset that we're going to see is playing to win versus playing not to lose. And what exactly does this mean? So let's assume you're playing within a pug environment, and what you're doing is you're playing super aggressive, you're going forward, you're getting all these kills, and you hit up to a 15-5 score line, or maybe you're even in 13-5 score line, or you have a significant lead. Often some players, if they lose a round or even with that lead, might then decide to play more passive instead of pushing, because they want to not lose. What they were doing earlier was they're playing to win, they're playing their normal game style, and they really had no mental block in this regard. But instead is once they see this lead, they start playing more passive, or maybe they'll tell their team to play more passive for no good reason, and often that's just a sign of you playing not to lose. Whenever you have a lead, however you obtain that lead, continue to try to play like that unless the situation calls for something else, meaning they've caught on to the pattern of you pushing a specific way. Otherwise, don't fix what's not broke. That's one of the key things I see within any PUG games is people try to fix things that aren't broke. Keep to do what you're doing. And often if you do that, you're going to continue to play to win instead of playing not to lose. Finally, to kind of rehash everything together, mindset is knowing how you synergize within a specific team and what you're trying to do towards that team. What is your goal to get the win at the end of the day? So if you're playing as a lurker and you decide to play passive, you should be playing passive if you have an aggressive opper and a rifle player, or you have an aggressive entry fragger that's going in 24/7 with an aggressive rifle. You need to have a complete balance. You can't play passive as a lurker and your whole team's playing passive as well, because often you're not going to be able to benefit your team. You're playing too slow, which can often delay the time. If you don't have a good strategy behind it, you're not going to win. This also applies to anything else. If your whole team's playing aggressive and maybe you're all dying within the first 20 or 30 seconds of a round, take note of that and have the proper mindset and say, hey guys, I'm going to play a little bit more passive and I'm going to backstab them. Play to win at all times and play the style that you're most comfortable with, and don't try to go into mindset playing not to lose. If you're thinking, I shouldn't do this because of whatever reason, I shouldn't do this because I might die, that's now playing not to lose. It's really important to just have a proper mindset whenever you're going into a game of trying to set up your team to win. Know what role you're trying to fulfill and fulfill it to the best of your ability per your own skill sets. And as long as you keep a proper mindset, you're going to often see yourself playing better within a game than not.